A go-fast carved through the Pacific like a silver blade. 5 men chasing freedom, never realizing the sky had already turned their escape into a countdown. Somewhere in the Donbass, the front lines feel quieter than you'd expect. They're not empty, just tense and alive with small movements where every step can mean life or death. 2 Russian soldiers push a wheelbarrow down a beaten track, hauling what looks like routine supplies. Inside is ammunition, packed tight and heavy. It is nothing heroic, just part of the daily grind that keeps their unit running. But in war, even the smallest details count, and that ordinary wheelbarrow suddenly becomes a target. Above them, Ukrainian reconnaissance keeps an eye. An FPV drone is readied and launched with the kind of speed that turns reaction into inevitability. The drone comes in low and hard. The soldiers hear the approach, and the sound is enough. They abandon the wheelbarrow and dash for cover. Abandonment is its own confession. The drone takes the wheelbarrow as its mark. The strike is direct. The ammunition detonates in a single, violent instant. Shrapnel and smoke replace the quiet of the path. The scene is measured. Approach, reaction, abandonment, detonation, and each step is recorded by reconnaissance. The blast writes a short footnote in the map of that sector. A supply line interrupted, a risk realized. In another sector, aerial scouts flag a vehicle moving with enemy troops inside. An FPV drone is sent on a head-on intercept. The vehicle's driver sees the drone and goes into sudden evasive maneuvers, but evasions against a maneuverable loitering strike are desperate math. The strike lands. The vehicle overturns into wreckage and 1 passenger is thrown from the rear. Reconnaissance captures the whole sequence. The approach, the hit, the aftermath, and the footage becomes both record and deterrent. Mobility that seems protective proves transient in the face of guided, close-range aerial munitions. Elsewhere, Ukrainian infantry executes an encirclement with a discipline that reads like choreography. A house becomes the focal point. Troops spread, routes cut off, angles covered. The men inside, isolated and scared, surrender. The operation is described in the reference as flawless coordination. Every movement calculated, every exit denied. What had been a shelter becomes a prison by deliberate design. The scene is a counterpart to the drone strikes, where aerial assets fracture movement, ground units turn terrain into containment. A lone Russian soldier slips along a roadside path, attempting the smallest maneuver that might return him to relative safety. He is unaware that a drone has already tracked him. The sound reaches him, the distinct buzz that has become its own omen, and he tries to run. The drone closes in seconds and strikes directly. The event is succinctly cruel. The faintest auditory cue removes any sense of safe distance. On that battlefield, the overhead whine is more than noise. It is a countdown. Destroyed bridges recur as settings for several of the recorded engagements. A group attempts a crossing on foot across a ruined span, thinking the rubble offers concealment. They are wrong. An FPV drone dives into their path and halts the attempt. In archival footage, a more elaborate operation is visible. Ukrainian special forces have prepared charges beneath a logistics bridge. A deliberate weakening and an FPV drone completes the mission by triggering explosives that bring down the span. The bridge collapses, and in the immediate fallout, enemy troops scatter and panic. Follow-up drone strikes disrupt any hope of reassembly or orderly retreat. In other recorded moments, a soldier curls up on the ruined bridge, hoping motionlessness saves him. Low flybys test the response, and when he does not move, the drone commits. The strike is precise and lethal. Likewise, when 3 soldiers try the same crossing later, the first strike takes 2 men walking together. The third dives into the bridge's remains and is then located and targeted by a low, steady strike that neutralizes him. The pattern is clear. Ruined infrastructure can be both an obstacle and a trap when aerial surveillance coordinates strikes with prepared demolition. Motorcycles and light vehicles show a different side of mobility. Speed does not equal safety. 2 fighters on a motorcycle attempt an open-field run. An FPV locks on. The first pass misses narrowly, forcing the riders to accelerate and reel from the near impact. A detonation nearby throws the motorcycle off balance. The driver lapses into unconsciousness, leaving the passenger to stagger. Additional drones drop small munitions to finish the engagement. The blast wounds, but does not immediately end it. A second FPV completes the strike and neutralizes both. In another recorded episode, a three-wheeled motorcycle overloaded with fighters moves across open terrain. Two riders dismount and flee as the drone's buzz grows. The remaining men cannot react. The impact detonates the vehicle, setting it ablaze. Reconnaissance footage documents the approach, the panic, and the aftermath. These sequences underline a recurring fact. Exposed transport on open ground is a high-value target for agile, hard-to-intercept platforms. Concealment inside civilian structures proves ineffective when multi-layered surveillance converges. 3 soldiers huddle inside a civilian garage and are detected by reconnaissance. An FPV equipped with an explosive payload is directed into the structure, and the garage is destroyed along with those inside. In a second instance, a basement hideout is given away by one careless movement. A drone dispatched into the confined space detonates and eliminates the threat. Similarly, a soldier hiding inside a residential dwelling is neutralized after detection. These episodes are clinical. Discovery, confirmation, execution. The record shows an operational decision chain where the presence of hostile combatants inside an urban or semi-urban footprint leads to direct aerial engagement. Not all drone approaches are unopposed. Ukrainian special forces moving in a vehicle face an incoming enemy, FPV. The unit reacts with immediate, disciplined small arms fire, detonating the incoming drone mid-air. The soldiers then remount and continue the mission. The episode is notable because it records a successful countermeasure. Training and quick reaction neutralize the aerial threat before it takes effect. It is an example of limits as well as potency. Drones are dominant until they meet precise, practiced opposition. The Magyar Birds unit and the 414th UAV Brigade, known in the footage as the Birds of Magua, appear by name in the reference and in their operations. In one forested strip, Magyar Birds tracks 2 infantrymen moving in pairs toward their positions. The first FPV strikes, killing one instantly. A second drone targets the survivor. Partial body armor absorbs some impact and allows a brief retreat toward trenches. Reconnaissance captures the wounded soldier's removal of armor parts and his subsequent vulnerability. A follow-up strike inside the trench ends the engagement. The sequence demonstrates coordination between reconnaissance and FPV strike teams and a willingness to press engagements through constrained spaces like trenches and forest edges. Rubble and ruins provide cover for solo movements, and many of the ref's recorded engagements document the rapid targeting of isolated infantrymen. A soldier searching abandoned buildings is tracked. An FPV one-way attack releases a payload nearby, sparks panic, and then locks onto the fleeing soldier to detonate. Another soldier on a scooter is chased by a kamikaze drone, unaware of the approach until impact. In contrast, a soldier who emerges from rubble, unarmed and seeking shelter in a basement, is captured alive after Ukrainian forces choose restraint. That incident stands out as a deliberate decision to take a prisoner when the tactical situation permits. Trenches, open fields, city streets, and ruined bridges, FPV strikes reach them all. Drones glide over empty trench lines, scanning for the slightest motion. One small movement is all it takes to become a target. 2 survivors hiding under a tree are located and neutralized in follow-up strikes. In the steppe, tall grass and scattered vegetation offer limited concealment at best. Operators track movement until a locked-on FPV delivers a strike that eliminates an infantryman. The reference also catalogs strikes against vehicles used by Russian forces in civilian guise. An FPV drone destroys a civilian-style car carrying enemy personnel through a city. The driver and passenger are killed, and the advance halts. Another civilian vehicle is similarly disabled before it can reach frontline positions. Roadside motorcyclists and a UAZ bunker van ferrying troops are each struck and destroyed. Reconnaissance confirms the van's annihilation with no survivors. These incidents are documented as part of a wider pattern of targeting mobility used in troop movement and supply, whether in overt military transport or covert civilian camouflage. Armored vehicles are not immune by virtue of mass alone. An abandoned APC with an open hatch is identified. An FPV directed straight into its interior detonates and destroys the vehicle. The reference also notes a systematic program to locate and destroy Russian reconnaissance. UAVs. Drones equipped with small dropped munitions successfully neutralize multiple enemy UAVs lying in ambush or waiting to identify targets for artillery or more lethal strikes. Operators also detect and eliminate ambush drones hidden near roadways before they can be launched. Each destroyed reconnaissance asset reduces enemy situational awareness and directly contributes to civilian safety and frontline survivability. Across the recorded compilation, patterns repeat. Reconnaissance units locate, FPV operators engage, and follow-up surveillance confirms results. Sometimes destruction is immediate and absolute. Sometimes an initial strike wounds and subsequent munitions complete the engagement. The footage, where it exists, is clear and linear. Approach, engagement, aftermath. The operational language in the reference is restrained. Counts of strikes and engagements are not romanticized, but the tactical implications are stark. From a tactical point of view, these incidents highlight a few hard truths. Mobility doesn't mean safety anymore, not when drones can hunt from above with speed and precision. Hiding in ruins, basements, or patches of vegetation doesn't work like it used to, because layered reconnaissance sees through nearly everything. Even the sound of a drone overhead can break nerves, forcing panic or surrender before a strike ever lands. When reconnaissance drones and FPV units work together, their effectiveness multiplies, and more than ever, precision strikes are replacing large troop movements as the smarter, faster way to reach tactical goals. These episodes, taken together and described exactly as in the reference, show an evolving battlefield where small, fast aerial platforms change the calculus of movement, logistics, and shelter. They do not offer triumphalism. They offer a ledger of consequences. Every recorded strike, every captured clip, and every collapsed bridge writes a new line in the map of contested terrain. In the Donbass, where the days are measured in small engagements and steady attrition, FPV drones have become a decisive instrument, not because they are glamorous, but because they are efficient at what the recordings insist they do: locate, strike, and verify. The footage and reports in the reference do not ask for applause. They present operations, choices, and outcomes. There are captures and there are kills. There are moments of restraint and moments where strikes are decisive. The pattern is consistent. Where Ukrainian reconnaissance and FPV teams operate in coordination, Russian movement becomes a targetable action. The record is, by the reference's account, clinical and comprehensive, and it shows an adaptation in combat where small, skilled teams and nimble aerial systems have reshaped how ground forces move, hide, and try to survive. If you want more deep dive breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay informed, stay sharp, and don't miss what's coming next.